Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this hardware management track. For next 4 hours, we have a bunch of presentation in this room, and I'm going to go over. First, I'll kick off with Bob on giving you an update on hardware management project, and then we will have more detailed presentation followed by that. I am Hamel, an architect at Broadcom. Bob, who's on the Zoom, is my colleague from Dell. We both have been doing the project co-lead for the hardware management project. So in this presentation, we will basically cover what the project is about. I'll go over the goals and then give a quick overview of the project, and then Bob will cover all the sub-projects, and then we'll call to action and followed by other presentation. So if you look at hardware management as OCP platforms, they have expanded in scope. Hardware management has always been at the core of all of those, right? And as systems and platforms are getting complex, hardware management becomes more important. So what we want to do from the project standpoint is to lay a common foundation for all the OCP platform. That's how we cover hardware management aspect of all the OCP platform. And manageability has been always, if you define it correctly, you get the interoperability, and which is very useful from any application standpoint or overall system management standpoint. So this project basically provides that common foundation on which other projects can build on. So very simplistically, you can think about that. That's what we are trying to do here. And then as we go over in details, you will see what this project has done over the years. And if you think from the project scope standpoint, everything that is related to management around the interfaces, protocol, external facing interfaces, the communication that happens within the system, also providing guidance to other platforms, BMC implementation. There are also some open source contribution that they were recently made. Those are all within the scope of the project. Specifically, what is called out here at the bottom 4, those are the sub-projects that we'll cover in more details. The rack management controller, the hardware management submodule, fault management, which was recently came into picture, and device manager, which is used for managing the infrastructure. So that's the overall project scope of hardware management project. Let's first start with what's the baseline here. So some time ago, we decided that we wanted to have some baseline management for the all OCP platform, and that's what we call hardware management baseline profile. What it is it defines a common functionality, manageability features that you can expect from a platform. And what it uses is Redfish interface, which is a DMTF standard, and that standard-based interface basically allows any client to access those management functions of the OCP platform. On top of that baseline profile, then you can build specific profile for specific platform like server, storage, and other. So that's architecturally, that's how the whole profile structure has been laid out. John Liang, who is here, once it started, now we have come farther along. Initially, the profile concept was new to OCP, but now everybody understands. We have the baseline profile already defined, server profile is already published, and then now recently what we had is a conformance test suite, which is also published. So with the conformance test suite, you can go out there and look at all the checklist of items that a given submission needs to meet in order to be compliant to the baseline profile or a specific profile. So that's, and we have a session right after that where we'll get into more details. John has that right after this. Other thing I want to mention here, the hardware management project has already published a number of specifications which are listed here. You can go and look at it ranges from all the way for the profile that I mentioned. Also, we have the API specification for OpenRMC, which is defined, as well as the Run BMC specification, which basically defines or standardizes the connector definition from BMC to the platform management subsystem. So these are all already work that has been out there and been used. So with that, let me take a pause. That gave you what the hardware management project is about, its scope, its focus, and I'm going to hand it to Bob to cover the next quick overview of the sub-projects that we have. Bob?
Thank you, Hamel, and good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where in the world you might be today. The first sub-project that we have to talk about is OpenRMC. This is a sub-project that is focused on developing Rack Manager firmware that is enabled by the OSF project and its platform profiles. We believe that we need a path to control everything at a rack level, that would be OCP compliant. And so OpenRMC is the project that does that. It is focused on specifying a northbound interface and accompanying profile to go with that. And as shown in the block diagram on the slide. The next sub-project that we have is hardware fault management. And this is a sub-project that is in incubation, which is early in the grand scheme of things from an OCP point of view. And its focus is to try to standardize system behavior given some hardware failure that exists in the system. And that defines specific requirements for managing those hardware errors and provides references and guidance on system hardware failure management, in general.
Before we go to the next one, we also have a session on that here. Yogesh, who's going to go in more detail on hardware fault management, so you can get more detail. We have also OpenRMC session. All right, Bob, I'm going to go to the next one.
Okay. Now, you said OpenRMC. Is that OpenRMC or is that fault management that Yogesh is doing?
We have session on both, I think.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the next sub-project, also in incubation, is the hardware management module. This covers Run BMC, which is focused on the BMC of the server itself, as well as DCSCM, which is a data center specific, typically add-in card that contains the BMC. That specification has, I believe, also been published, if I'm not mistaken. And so it incorporates a connector definition for server management and allows you to basically have pluggability of your BMC in a given hardware platform. There can be also one or more form factors of that, depending on what you need to use to support your system. And then, the control interface, that the specification provides, addresses everything that you would logically need to control, servers from a manageability point of view. Leveraging some of the firmware that DMTF and OCP has defined.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I'm going to go to next.
Next is Device Manager, which is another sub-project that we have in incubation. Its target is to provide a uniform asset management, monitoring, and control surface based on Redfish to collect all that data of all the devices plugged into the server or other hardware entity. So you could use Device Manager for asset management, in which you want to take inventory of your devices across the data center, for instance. Monitor those devices, assist with fault isolation, potentially take preventative action if some anomalies are being detected, and also have the ability to manage the life cycle of software and firmware, including updates or downgrades, whatever is required there and is supported by the device.
Okay.
And lastly, we have MegaRack, which is a contribution that was made to OCP. This is the open edition that is a fork from OpenBMC, but allows supporting BMC functionality on OCP platforms. It has platform-specific features, enables out-of-band management of devices. And the source tree has been made public and is still maintained by AMI. And it's based on OpenBMC LF, as stated here. Comments, Emil, or?
No, thanks. Let me then summarize and then we'll open the floor. Thanks, Bob. So as you can see, we touched on the overall project, which is focused on manageability by name of it. And there are a lot of sub-projects over the time now, total 5 some are in incubation phase, some are more mature. But as you can see, there is a common set of profile definition which is handled at the project level. Then we have hardware management module, which is more like BMC kind of connector definition. We have OpenRMC, where the northbound and southbound APIs for the rack level management controller. And then we have recently had a couple of contributions around device manager, which is a client, how it manages the infrastructure. And then MegaRack we mentioned, which is an OpenBMC fork. And then hardware fault management recently, through a common set of use cases, we are defining the system behavior on that. So a lot of work, so scope has expanded. Welcome everybody in this audience and whoever is on the line and outside of that to come to this project, join the call, contribute to the sub-projects, review the spec, contribute to the spec. It is basically forming a good foundation for all the OCP projects as we move along here. And there's a lot of room for providing your input to this. So with that, let me take a pause and I can take a few questions.